So we are living through one of the most historic presidencies of American history in regards to the advancements of appointments to the judiciary, in terms of record low unemployment, in terms of opportunities from small business loans for black and brown people in this country. However, among black and brown people in the United States, the popularity of Joe Biden and his presidency is continuously declining. I am at a point of questioning, is there anything that Joe Biden can do to make black and brown people happy in America?
Well, let me speak about this from the Latino perspective. The Latinos, the research that I've been seeing is that the number one issue that matters for Latinos is the economy and jobs. And we win on that. The problem is that, and I think Simone Sanders talked about this so well, she talked about the fact that we need to stop calling it Bidenomics, even though it's Bidenomics. But Bidenomics is working, but we need to stop talking about that. We need to talk about the fact, what is the stuff that is actually impacting Americans in this moment? How are they impacting specific groups of people? When they start hearing numbers like we have the lowest unemployment rate for black communities, we have the lowest unemployment rate for Latino communities, we have inflation numbers that are back to 3%, which is back to the normal. When we have the fact that, our economy is booming, right? We have to talk about these things. This is what matters. And one of the things that's prevalent in the research shows that Latinos are looking for better messaging as it relates to the economy. And I think we're now in a place where we're getting things right. Republicans, are also putting down candidates that are Latino. We saw in South Texas, we saw the Representative Mayra Flores, who lost to, I think his name was Gonzalez. So I think one of the things, and that's not just, and there's another one, Cuellas, I think, is another one from Texas that won, two Democratic candidates that won in South Texas. And the reality is that we need to put forth more Hispanic candidates that are going against these other Hispanic candidates that are on the Republican side. So we need to do that. The messaging has to be there. That's one of the things that we always talk about. We have to bring, how is this salient to the specific communities? And one of the things that has been better, that has not been historically better or best for the Democrats, is putting ad buys. Ad time in some of these markets, particularly in Florida and Texas and some of these swing states, has been larger in the past couple of years for Democrats, but we still need to do more in that regard as well.
I think there is a huge level of distrust around the Biden administration. When he elected or selected Vice President Harris to come onto his campaign, right, there was already rumors lurking around about how she handled certain cases during her time as DA in California.
Not rumors. It was misinformation and absolute lies from Republicans and people who were anti-black female. That is what it was. It was not rumors. They were absolute lies.
Okay.
Speak on it.
We can go with that. Okay, so they were absolute lies. However, I think I think that the black community ate that up. Right. And in so many ways, I hear a lot of young black voters saying that they don't see themselves in this administration the way that they did in the Obama administration. And so I think the landscape of politics is changing as you have, I'm just saying, right?
No, it's okay. No, but my response is not to you. It is to these young blacks who say this, because one of them. So stand on it.
You saw yourself more in the Obama administration.
You don't see yourself in the Biden. I stand on that.
You saw yourself more in the Obama administration.
I didn't say that.
I'm asking.
No, stand on what you believe in.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm communicating things that I have read about the generation as they respond to the current administration. Yes, of course, saw myself more in the Obama administration because it was a black family in the White House. However, I don't have any large disdain or hatred for the Biden administration.
Did you see yourself in the Trump administration at all?
No.
And that's something, and I just want to say, people, I know it doesn't sound like it because I never have a chance to do it much, but I'm extremely critical of the Biden administration. I'm hypercritical of the Biden administration of the Democratic Party.
True story.
I don't know anyone actually who is as staunchly aligned to the Democratic Party who is as critical of the party as I am.
Right.
It's just that I choose not to necessarily air it out on public on social media because I know that it can be detrimental to the long-term goals that I have for America and wanting to see America grow and advance and prosper and be this progressive stronghold in the world. But here's the thing. You're comparing an administration that has a black woman as vice president to an administration and the alternative which had no black people appointed, period, point blank whatsoever. President Joseph Robinette Biden just put a record number of black people on the American judiciary than any other president in the history of this country compared to the one who put in 5 total during his whole entire 4 years in the office. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
So when we say we don't see ourselves in this administration, I understand what you're saying, but I also say that there is an onus on all of us to do the research on what's really happening. I will say the biggest failure of and I've thought about this, and Brian and I've talked about this with our friend Kenny and our friends Tiffany and our friend Shante. We talk about it. The Biden administration is under so much pressure to do so much so fast, they are failing to stop and actually cement the successes that they have. Let me explain it and give you an example. The iconic photo, and I heard this on Roland Martin, the iconic photo of nasty ass Kellyanne Conway sitting on the White House floor with her nasty feet off, okay, surrounded by the black presidents of HBCUs, gave the impression that Donald Trump literally did something for HBCUs in America. Most black people think that he gave money to HBCUs, when in reality, that was money passed by Congress that he took credit for. He didn't actually do anything. He just had the photo op. President Biden is not giving us the photo ops. That's what's missing. The images that we need to see that cements this administration in our minds
even if he gives us the photo ops, black people
hear me out on this.
Black people will be like, "Oh, he's pandering to black people. I'm not voting for him." Like we will. It don't matter what this man do.
Stop. How many people gonna do that though, Brian?
That's 100% right.
But how many people gonna do that?
20.
A lot.
20 motherfuckers on Twitter.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Can I? And let me finish making this generational point, right? What I think the political landscape of campaigning is changing, and what I think a lot of antiquated leaders like Biden do not understand, and what I think his campaign leaders don't understand, is that what makes up a campaign in these present and modern times are a bunch of smaller micro trends, right? So
that is accurate.
So if there are people don't view Gen Z as a large generation, right? Because they mostly associate them with adolescents. However, what we do know, right, is that they will drive the results of who becomes president, right, in a few years. So
maybe not.
Maybe
not. Because here's the reason.
The
Gen Z thinks they do because we told them they did, and I wasn't gonna be the one to pull the curtain back. But the reality is that in a number of places they did not vote. Right. The voter turnout among Gen Z in states like Tennessee,
but it was not.
In states like Louisiana, and states where they could have made a difference, they didn't get out and vote. They voted in some places. They didn't vote in Georgia. They didn't do the thing in this thing. But also, we got to be honest about the numbers. Gen Z comprises 20%, 21% of America. 21% is not going to win any elections across the board. When that 21% is spread around a whole entire nation, that bases a win of an election on the Electoral College. So you can keep your vote. You withhold your vote. You can have your vote, because all you're doing is damning yourself to a Republican-led country that is going to totally annihilate the rights you think you have that you're voting against.
But I think Gen Z, I'm sorry, Brian, let me say this. I'm going to let you go. Yeah. I think Gen Z is probably, while they are becoming one of the most vocal generations, I think they are probably becoming one of the most informed generations, because whereas, right, we read publications and we did the research to really understand what something meant, we don't do that anymore, right? We read these 140-word blurbs on social media that ultimately inform us, and we don't know the full scope of information.
I don't think that makes them one of the most informed.
I said they weren't the most.
That's my problem with Gen Z in the current moment. I think it'll get better, but I think that they are being easily misled by social media.
And here's what I will say. I think here's why I have a challenge with that. And here's why I have a problem with that, because they're proving to be, unfortunately, not the most informed. because they are most susceptible to misinformation on social media because that's where they are spending most of their time. The studies show that they are mostly on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok in that order. TikTok is not the number one. A lot of people think that it is the number one. But at the end of the day, misinformation is being propagated and promulgated through these apps, and they are the ones who are consuming this data. And here's what I will say. Unfortunately, if that were true, if they were the most informed, then they would understand that this administration is more diverse and more representative of the country than was the Obama administration. You have to remember, you have the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, who is Alejandro Mayorkas. You have the person who is overseeing the housing. Department of Housing is Marshall
Urban
Fudge.
Development.
The Urban Development is Marshall Fudge. You have the one who's overseeing Department of the Interior is Deb Haaland, right? And so she is Native American.
Department of Education.
Department of Education is
Miguel Cardona.
Right? So you have the people in the cabinet who are representative of America in ways that you not. And also the nominees for the judge and the judicial branch. You have to understand, we also have the first black, not only black vice president, but also the first black woman on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Right. We have never had this many black people
Which
which
was a campaign promise that he delivered on.
100%. Right. And so when you talk
100%.
about, and that's the thing that people don't understand.
100%.
So there are black people out there like, well, what has he done for black people? When your brother, who sells massive amounts of drugs, is arrested and goes to trial and has to sit before a judge, the likelihood he's going to have his case appealed to a black person has been increased tenfold because of the work of Joe Biden.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that black person
I
hook your
agree,
brother
right?
up because your brother sell drugs, he's going to jail.
When we look at it,
Yes.
But this is where the conversation of reality versus statistics comes in, right? Because you look at the data and the data says this, right? But then you look at the reality of the situation and we know, right?
The perception.
The perception,
that
right?
That black people have.
Black people have.
You're right.
And there's a misalignment there.
You're right.
So what I'm saying, right, is as someone who is part of the Gen Z generation, right? I think there is a responsibility to make sure that you are fully informed. I think the trends and the times of being fully informed and knowing all scopes of knowledge around issues, specifically political and social issues, has completely escaped us because social media has crippled us to believe that whatever blurb is saying that the Shade Room or anybody has fucking wrote is what is fact, and we know that's not true.
And that's a part of that is the failure of the education system. I feel like a lot of us, a lot of black people, we don't know how government works.
No.
We don't know. We
don't know our
people
rights.
don't understand that. People ask, why are we sending billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine? And people don't know that Congress has already allocated money for that.
Right.
People don't know that when, Biden wants to enact $20,000 off everybody's student loans, that people can take it to court. We don't understand how government works, and a lot of people will take their ignorance and use it to criticize the administration when I feel like Biden is doing, I love what he's doing.
But also,
honestly.
too, let's add this, though, right? There is a huge question mark around Biden's health. And
Is there? Because
While Trump
because
eats
the question
McDonald's every day.
I know, guys, but I'm just saying, right? I'm bringing it up.
Put it out there. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
I'm bringing it up.
What's the question?
I'm bringing
What's the
it up,
question?
bitch, so we can talk about
But you
it.
know what?
What I'm
Who is
saying
his vice
is,
president, though?
listen, let me finish. Damn, for y'all jump down my throat. You cat in the hat, bitches. So what I'm saying is that there is a huge question, right? We can be talking about grounds work, right? On the ground of, is Biden a healthy president? Is he competent? Does he actually know what's going on? Or is he just being souped up every day to get in front of camera for 30 seconds to say something that's written on the teleprompter?
He's way more competent than Trump. And then also, are we okay with a President Kamala Harris? I am.
Of course we are. Here's the
I
thing.
am.
And so his age is not a problem for me because I like the vice president.
I wanted to bring this up.
What it comes up, listen, People are hyper focused on President Biden's health, wellness, and age, when Donald Trump is like 2 years younger. Okay, he's exactly the same age. I feel as though 78, 80, same age. Also, Donald Trump has made multiple campaign gaffes. He's saying things. He's mixing people up. He is doing the exact same thing. That's just what happens when you get to be a certain age. At my age, I am doing the exact same thing, and I know it's not going to get any better. So it's just the reality. But does that mean I am not in control of my mental capabilities and capacities? Absolutely does not mean that. I want to say this. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Joe Biden is being souped up to get up and say certain things.
Right.
I am actually not looking at what he's saying on a microphone or a podium, because those are optics. Those are vanity metrics. It means nothing to me. What I am looking at are the economic indicators of this country. What I am looking at is the fact that during the Joseph Robinette Biden administration, America has had the most improved economy of any nation in the G7. I am looking at how we are comparing against our peers. We have outperformed England. We have outperformed Germany. We have outperformed China in regards to how we have recovered economically. And I have no doubt in my mind that this country would not have performed in the same manner economically had we not had Joseph Robinette Biden at the helm. This man is doing what a president should do, and that is ensuring that you have highly qualified and extremely competent people leading the work that needs to be led. The president cannot do everything. That was a major flaw in the Trump administration, is that he had his hand in everything, and those hands were dirty and corrupt. And that is what damaged this country beyond repair in a number of ways, and what we're still fighting against. And we are going to move further beyond that filth, further beyond that corruption, if Biden is given 4 more years to remove us from Trump. But if this man gets back in the White House, we are going to be we're going to be broken in a way that we can't be repaired.
Irreparable, for sure.
And people should look into Project 2025, because Project 2025 is the literal handbook that has been crafted by the Republican Party to create loyalists, right? They literally have workshops lined out so that they can train loyalists to be put into federal agencies to carry out the work that they want to continue to do, which is continue to be regressive in all the policies. You think this bad now with anti-abortion sentiments and
But Gen Z doesn't know about Project 2025.
No,
Black people don't know about 20.
No, they don't.
Here's the thing.
It's the misinformation.
What is Project 2025? Is a 900-page plan.
It is.
For America, that every conservative politician, whether you're elected for mayor, school board, city council, senator, representative, you have a copy of it, and this is what you will do. It was funded by the Heritage Foundation, which put Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas on the federal bench. They are the ones who supported Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh. These people have more control in this country than we know. And they have said, this is what you will do when you are a Republican elected in this country. And that agenda includes a focus on breaking down public education. It includes a focus on criminalizing the LGBTQ community. It literally talks in parts about castrating and sterilizing trans Americans. It talks about criminalizing porn consumption. What this plan is a moral imperative of a Christo-fascist authoritarian state, and every single Republican is a part of it.
Well,
and so the fact that you have young people and black people saying, I am not voting for Biden because of #FreePalestine, speaks to the fact that they either don't know about what's coming or they don't care about what's coming. And I think that's irreprehensible.
And I will also say this. If that happens and they don't vote like they talking about on social media, and they influence,
it's gonna be
people,
#Free Zachary to Panama and Costa Rica.
And listen, and they say that shit.
#Civil War.
And they don't vote. They don't do all this shit.
A civil war.
I don't want them to cry later.
Right.
Because these
That's
are the
all
people.
you can do. You can't
These
fight
are the same
this.
people.
Yeah.
These are the same people who are gonna jump on the airwaves, and they gonna cry, and they gonna try to yell on the streets, and they gonna say, and you know what? I'm gonna have zero sympathy.
Because it's
I'm
not
not
a civil war. Let me go back to what I just said. Black people make up 13% of the population. Who in the hell can you beat? If every black person, which it won't be, okay, if every black person united together, which we never will, who can we beat when we're only 13% of the American population?
Can we flip this though and reverse it?
Yeah.
On
Flip it in reverse.
All right, on our Missy Elliott shit real quick. 2023 was a very optimistic brought me some hope. because 2023 is an off year in terms of an election, and people came out and we flipped the shit in Virginia. We made sure that we elected that in Ohio we won for recreational usage of marijuana. We also made sure that we stopped the abortion referendum, anti-abortion referendum in Ohio. We fucking reelected the Kentucky governor who's a Democrat, which is fucking Kentucky. Can we fucking say that shit? Have we celebrated that shit? Right? The reality of it is, I think 2023 was a good indicator and harbinger for what's to come in 2024. I mean, I don't know.
Well, Trump is
Yeah, but
well,
2023 was, but 2023.
2020. Optimistic Annie, I have to come and give you a little bit of reality in the fact that we are not going to hold on to the Senate. It is statistically impossible with the seats that are up for grabs. The Democratic Party will lose control of the United States Senate. We're going to lose it. We are going to very likely win the House, but we're not going to win the Senate. And we're going to have another 4 years of a stalemate. Another 4 years of very slow, hard-earned progress is going to happen. It's just a reality. We might be able to do better in 2026 if Joseph Robinette Biden is president. But that is not going to happen as long as we have the efforts of the disenfranchisement machine at full blast, tearing down the attempts of voters to mobilize around Biden. When you have black people on TikTok saying they're not voting for Biden, and you have Gen Z people on TikTok not voting for Joe Biden, we are looking at fewer voters coming out. President Biden won the state of Georgia by less than 12,000 votes.
Yeah.
By less than 12,000 votes.
But we have two Democratic
Every
senators
vote
from Georgia.
will matter. Every vote's going to matter in 2024. And we need all people who care about marginalized voices in this country, who care about democracy in this country, to come together and put their unnecessary
how are we
bigotry
gonna get
aside
these pro-
to go and
How are we going to get the
We have to
pro-Palestinian
change-
TikTokers to vote?
We have
We're
to
not
change-
Biden.
We're not.
They're
we're
not,
but
unfortunately, they're not going to
we
care
are
about
in the
Palestine in
midst of-
2024.
This is
Facts.
fucking
Because
social.
they never care long.
It's social politics. That's what it is. It's social politics.
That's a good-
so
that's good.
what has to happen is we have to find a way to make correct information that wholly encompasses what's actually going on, not the disenfranchisement. We have to find a way to streamline that type of information. That's the only way that we're
And
going to
that
change
is
the
incum-
tide.
But listen, that is incumbent upon highly
these bitches are
influential.
dumb.
That is incumbent upon highly influential platforms being used in the right way, and that's not what I'm seeing on social media. I will not call them out because they have way more fans and followers than me. But there's some very prominent people on TikTok who have millions of followers who attack Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris every single day, who speak misinformation, who don't care about being informed, who are a part of the problem. There are very influential platforms like the Breakfast Club, like Charlemagne the God. There are people like the Shade Room. There are people who have a lot of pull and a lot of influence in the black community. That we have given them their platforms. We have allowed them to have this power, who are working with the enemy to tear down the black community. And that is that's the problem. And until black people either are willing to deplatform them, or that they're willing to do the right work in the way that Jason Lee is doing with Hollywood Unlocked, we're never going to advance and move forward. And I have to give Jason his props, because Jason Lee was a part of the problem. He made some problematic posts. He said some problematic things, but he is now using his platform in a positive way. I have seen very honest and very timely posts about what the Biden administration is doing right, about what Vice President Harris is doing right, and he's even, I think, running for a city council seat.
He is.
In California as a Democrat. This is someone, in my opinion, who is using his celebrity, using his platform in the right way to advance the right causes. I have to give Jason Lee his props, his flowers, give your Leo brother a shout out.
Mm-hmm. Jason Lee, I love
It's
you.
it's a good month.
Yeah.
It's a bad month for Scorpios with
Bad
P.
month.
Diddy,
Good. I'm supposed to fall in love this
with
month.
P. Diddy and
Turn my
Piss
zodiac.
Diddy, but a good month for Leos.
Yeah. Where's my husband?
Since Biden is so unpopular with a lot of people, though, what's going to happen? Like, why haven't we, thought about maybe primarying him.
That's not how it works. That's not how politics
They are
work.
but they are primary.
You can't primary
They
the
are,
year
look,
to the election.
Let me say
It's too
this.
late.
Why not?
They are.
It's people running.
They
It's
are
people running,
They
though.
are primarying him. We have Dean Phillips, who you.
Marianne Williamson.
Where's Dean Phillips from?
They have Dean Phillips, who y'all don't even know who the fuck he is.
Marianne
You have
Williamson.
RFK. Y'all have RFK, who y'all don't even know who the fuck he is. And if
Marianne
you did listen to
Williamson.
what he had to say, you would think that he was the fucking halls. You have Marianne Williamson, who
who's
fuck her,
amazing.
who
She's
fuck
amazing.
her.
I love her.
You have
in
Jill-
my perfect world, she would be my president.
You have Jill Stein, who's part of the Green Party, and that's pretty much it. Cornel West, he fucking got out of the race. So at the end of the day, they are primarying him. At the end of the day, he's going to be the candidate. And at the end of the day, you're going to have on the Republican side Donald Trump be the Republican candidate. And this is going to come
From
down
jail?
to this is going to come down to two people. And it's going to be one or two people. If you don't vote for Joe Biden because you're going to vote for a third party candidate, that's a vote for Donald Trump. If you vote for Donald Trump, obviously it's the vote for Donald Trump. The only alternative to make sure that Donald Trump does not become the president of the United States is voting for Joe Biden. And that's just it. If you don't,
going to divide the
if
vote.
you
It's
don't,
gonna divide the vote.
if you don't,
Yeah.
what's going to end up happening is you're going to vote for Islamophobia and you're supporting Islamophobia because on day one he said he was going to introduce the Muslim ban that he said he put in place before, which we
Day
know was a
one.
Muslim ban. Day one, you're going to say
He's
you're going to
also
be
going to bring about the
anti-refugee.
mass deportation of anyone from Palestine.
Yes,
he
and
said that too.
Mass deportation of people from Palestine, but also create avenues to block the refugees that could come from Palestine. So y'all want to say that y'all
He's going to
pro-Palestine.
end naturalized citizenship.
You want to say you're pro-Palestine, but
Take
at the
away
end of
the
the day,
vote until
y'all
you're
not
25.
supporting that shit. Nothing of what you say that you want to support and create for progress in society, you are supporting by voting or not voting for Joe Biden.
And I just want to
That's
say
just
this.
it.
Let me, Aaron, let me
That's
give
just
Can
it.
you
this.
choose? I'm a Democrat,
No,
but
yeah.
I could vote. I could
bitch gonna break
have a
the
Republican ballot, right?
You have
In
to,
the primary,
yeah,
in the primary.
You whatever you declare on the first in the primary, you have
what
to
if
carry through.
there were a fraction of Democrats who voted in a Republican.
They always do that. But here's
Yeah,
the thing:
yeah.
Does that not work?
There is
It
no
does.
there is no
To
Republican.
try to thwart Donald
There
Trump.
is
They do
no
that with us,
Republican.
though.
There is no Republican that is running that is a good alternative. Unfortunately,
I mean,
No.
but there is a better alternative.
No, but
than
there are
Trump.
people
Stop.
who.
Oh, I would. Yes, there is.
listen, Aaron.
Yes, there is.
I have watched every single
Did you not
Republican.
hear what they said
Stop.
about Project 2025?
Listen,
I'm just saying,
Listen.
All
like
the
Donald
same.
Trump, there is a better
listen,
option.
every single Republican that is running has clearly made statements that to me are I can't live. I can't live with genocide. I can't. And every Republican in the last Republican debate literally said that they wanted to do things to a country like wipe them out, like finish the job, like
Yes.
end it. It was horrible to hear them say that on the microphone, but then also even worse than hearing them say that was to hear no one give them the smoke about it.
Yep.
To hear the same people that are who marched on the Democratic National Committee several weeks ago said nothing about what these people said they wanted to do and see in Gaza. It was unfortunate. You talk about Marianne Williamson, and I have been a Marianne Williamson fan before you were probably born. Unfortunately, I hate to say that publicly, but I remember this woman, her return to love, and watching her on the Oprah Winfrey Show in high school and going out and buying the dang book. Like, I read A Return to Love. I earmarked it. I actually read that book whenever I'm facing a crisis in my life. As my mother was ill and passing away, I was annotating a fresh copy of A Return to Love that I had bought in the Walmart in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, because the book gives me such perspective. So I'm a Marianne Williamson fan. But Marianne Williamson is not qualified to be president of the United States. If Hillary Rodham Clinton, who has served in the United States Senate, who was a graduate of Ivy League institutions, who not only then served as a senator, who then served as the Secretary of State, could not win in America because of misogynistic views and the hatred towards women, there is no way in hell Marianne Williamson will ever get enough votes to be anybody's president. It's
I don't
not
think
going
she
to
will, but
happen.
I think
So
she's
for,
so
for any of
well-spoken. She
these
has a lot of
young
great
people
ideas.
out here to say, I want to vote for Marianne Williamson,
I do
you
wanna
are
vote for her.
pissing away American democracy and handing it to, just go ahead and call you Diddy.
Huh?
But here's the thing: you can vote for her in the primary. She's not going to win the
That's
primary.
what I was
Vote
thinking.
for her in the primary. She won't win the primary. But if Joe Biden is the president,
As a small little protest.
but if Joe Biden is the candidate on the Democrat side, would you vote for him?
Is that what?
If Joe Biden becomes the candidate for the Democratic Party, which he will,
Of course, yes.
that's all we gotta say.
Duh.
And that's where we go to end.
And so, is there any? But finally, is there anything that President Biden can do that will make Black people happy?
The question should
No,
have been: is there
I don't
anything
think
that
so.
President Biden can do that will make Black people or
Give them checks.
happy?
Give them checks.
And the answer is no.
Checks. They love
The answer
Biden.
is no,
They love
as a
Biden.
result.
I mean,
The problem
Black
is
people.
The answer,
there's a
but listen, the answer is no as a result of
giving them
disenfranchisement
checks.
and misinformation.
Okay,
Well,
so people, hold on.
If
President
all
Biden-
Biden has to do,
people in the
Aaron, is
people in the-
throw
hold on.
tricks
Cedric, hold
to
on.
make y'all vote for him.
Cedric, hold on. The people in the comment section have spoken, and they said student loans.
Now that
let me say this.
would dramatically
fuck that.
change my
You
life.
can't
No,
do
no,
it.
no. Let
It's
me say
not
this.
legal.
Student
And he
loans.
tried.
Student
It
loans.
actually is legal.
Student
Break it
loans.
down. Break
Let
it
me
down.
just
Listen
break
to
this
this.
shit down because
Break it
I'm
down.
tired of this, right?
I'm
'Cause I'm
tired.
fucking
Break it
sick.
down.
Student loans. Joe Biden overpromised and was able to deliver.
Underdelivered.
No.
He
No.
underpromised.
He
No,
underpromised.
he actually.
Stop.
Stop. Listen.
Joe Biden underpromised. He went on stage, the town hall. They asked him, "Will you cancel $50,000 of student loans?" He stood 10 toes down and said no. He could have gave a political answer and said, "Well, we'll look into it and we'll see what we can do." He said no, absolutely not. He said we will cancel $10,000 worth of student loans. He put that in the plan, and then later on, Vice President Kamala Harris and others moved him along and got $20,000 worth of student loans for Pell Grant recipients, which we all know is a nod to people who are Black and brown, marginalized groups of people who are low
poorest
socioeconomic
people.
status.
Right.
Who are low
1000%.
socioeconomic status. Hold on. So you had that. Then you had 6 Republican states that put it through the courts, that through litigation got all the way to the Supreme Court. And what happened? They got it overturned. They got it blocked. Now, what a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people won't tell you, is that a lot of people are like, oh, well, he should use the Higher Education Act of 1965. Well, guess what the fuck what? He did that shit. And that was plan B. The reason why that wasn't plan A, even though it was more litigation and foolproof, was because of the fact that we didn't have enough of the time. He wanted to get it done quicker. We thought we could do it through the HEROES Act of 2001, and we could not. Now that we got through there, hold on, I'm not finished. Now that we got through there, the 1965 Higher Education Act requires that there is a period of time where there is a rule of negotiation process. And those conversations have already started happening. The minute that the Supreme Court handed down their verdict and said absolutely not, they went back into the drawing board and through the memos of Miguel Cardona from the Department of Education, the secretary, decided to go through this plan. What a lot of people don't know is that already there's been two dates where they've included people to come from different parts and constituencies and stakeholders to get to the point where they can give testimony and give expertise and all this other shit that a lot of people don't know about. Again, it's the rules of negotiation process that has already happened. There's 4 more dates that will come down the pike. This takes a year and a half to get down to the point, and this
It
takes
can still
time.
happen.
So at the end of the day, that they are doing something about it. The people that are saying, well, he's not doing nothing about student loans, don't understand and can shut the hell up because they don't have the proper range to discuss this topic. And I'm tired of it because unfortunately what happens is we have these conversations where we don't have all of the facts and we get to a place where we can't discuss this in a rational mindset, and people are saying, well, he has done nothing, and that creates voter suppression and voter apathy. Then we get Donald Trump in 2024.
And then you never vote again.